What's up, YouTube fam? Sweet Science Athletics back again with another video. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It helps out with the algorithm so more people can see my content. And the more content I post, the happier people be, the happier I be. So today, I just want to discuss some issues that I have with boxing. And we're going to get into it. So, there's a problem with boxing, right? You have a lot of fighters that do a lot of ducking, a lot of cherry picking. Um, they do the ducking and the cherry picking, and they still are being considered the best pound for pound fighters, even though the people that they are fighting are not the best fighters in their division. One of the main culprits of this is Canelo. Canelo is one of the main culprits of this egregious behavior. You have a few other fighters. Uh, I'm I like Earl Spence as a fighter, but Earl Spence has been ducking and avoiding Terrence Crawford since Terrence Crawford came to 147. I don't like that. You know, Earl Spence wants to say that he is the best in the division, but you over here got a champion. You got a man that's been holding the belt, a man that's been calling you out for the longest, and you refuse to fight him. To me, you can't say you the best in the division. You can't say you the big dog, you the big fish, and you avoiding somebody that has been undisputed, somebody that's undefeated, undisputed, a three-weight champion, and you refusing to fight that man. How can you say you're the best in that division if you refusing to fight him? You know, I just don't see the logic in that. And Canelo, oh my God, Canelo is the worst of the worst, man. And Lomachenko too. Lomachenko picked shots. You know, when he decided to fight Teofimo, he thought Teofimo was gonna be a shot, right? Teofimo tricked Lomachenko because he used defensive pivots. Every fight that you have seen Lomachenko get into, he either fought a guy that was coming up multiple weight classes to fight him, so a naturally smaller person, or he was fighting somebody that did not use defensive pivots. When he fought Teofimo, every time Loma tried to pivot on Teo pivoted right with him. Now that's something a lot of boxers don't do. You don't see that in a lot of boxing today. That's another issue that I have. They don't teach these guys fundamentals. They teach these guys how to please the crowd. And pleasing the crowd is not always to the benefit of the fighter. If you're training guys to go out there and make the crowd happy, 9 times out of 10, you're teaching them to stand in front of somebody and slug it out. You're not teaching them the basis of boxing, which is to hit and not get hit. You know what I mean? And that's why you see a lot of fighters like Hagler, James Toney, a lot of these fighters, man, they can barely talk. They could barely talk, man. You could barely understood anything came out their mouth. Very few of these boxers that had these plow pleasing styles are able to speak audibly. You know what I mean? So that's one of the issues with trying to please the crowd versus, you know, using skills. Because if you use skills, you're gonna beat people. Last night, well, I seen the stats for the Devin Haney fight versus the Tank Davis fight, and Tank made more money on his fight than Devin Haney did. Part of that is because Devin Haney doesn't have knockout power. People want to see knockouts, right? Tank gives people knockouts, so of course he's gonna have more. He's gonna have more views, more fans, and all of that. Even though Devin Haney may be more skilled as a boxer, people want to see knockouts. So as long as you're knocking people out, they don't really care about anything else. You know, that's why Tyson was so popular. Even though Tyson, in my opinion, did not have the most skills at that time, he was knocking people out, and that's all people cared about. This is the same thing with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder cannot box whatsoever, but he was knocking people out. So that's all people cared about. Okay, so him knocking people out allowed other people to ignore the fact that he actually couldn't box because he was fighting bums. You know, I hate to say that, but he was fighting people that had even less skill than him, and the ones that did have more skill than him, he used his knockout power to get that out the way. So there was never no reason for him to focus on developing actual boxing skills. So these are some of the issues that I have with boxing, man. If you share any of these issues, please leave a comment. Let's talk about it. Um, Canelo, man, I I swear, dog, it's like Canelo is getting all of this hype. Number one, because he's white. The same reason Lomachenko got all the hype, because he's white. All right, he's a white guy that can box, and Canelo is a white guy that can box. So they got a whole lot of hype. There's a whole lot of following behind them, irregardless of the fact that Canelo is picking the weakest opponents possible. He is avoiding fighting any black fighters that could possibly kick his ass. He don't want them troubles. He's been avoiding Charlo. He's been avoiding Andre, however you pronounce his name. He's been avoiding these guys, and he is going and picking the weakest, whitest opponents that he can possibly find. And now he's all the way in Africa fighting a guy, Makabe. Uh, he is. I don't know how he got his belt. I'm gonna have to check on that. I don't know if that was an email belt, because the last I seen on him, his last fight, he took an L. He got knocked out, or maybe that wasn't his last fight. But I'm gonna do a little bit of research and find out who he got that belt from, how he got that belt. But regardless of the fact, Canelo, instead of Canelo saying, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and prove these haters wrong, and I'm about to fight Charlo, or I'm about to fight David Benavidez, or I'm finna fight Demetrius Andre, I'm finna fight one of these guys and shut the haters up. Instead of him saying that or doing that, he goes up 2 weight classes and fights some guy nobody's ever heard of. And to me, that makes absolutely no sense. You got a guy in your weight class that has never took an L, ever. You're holding one of his belts that he lost on the scale. A belt that when he had the belt, you didn't want to come take it from him. But as soon as he lost that belt, you wanted it. You got this guy in your weight class, and you go up 2 weight classes to fight some other dude that nobody has ever heard of. I'm not a fan of Canelo whatsoever, man. And I don't like when fighters, uh, you know, I don't like when fighters get all this hype about being so good, but when there's guys in their weight class that are good and they are avoiding them. Errol Spence been avoiding Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford has been on Errol Spence's neck for years, and that man still has not said, let's get this work. I don't understand that. Canelo has been avoiding both the Charlo brothers, Demetrius Andre, David Benavidez. Hell, he could have went and fought better BF. Like there's a whole bunch of fighters, great fighters, that Canelo could have went in that ring and got some work with, but he went to one of the weakest divisions to unify and go undisputed. He went to one of the weakest divisions to do that, and I don't respect that type of stuff. Let me know in the comments what you don't respect about these fighters. What fighters is just irking your nerves? Like, I want to know what's going on, how y'all really feel, because I see a lot of these channels, they don't want to keep it 100 about a lot of these fighters. They'll keep it 100 about the white fighters, but they won't speak the truth when it comes to some of the black fighters. Like, I'm not into none of that. I want to keep it 100 on boxing, period. If you're black, Mexican, white, and you on some trash or ducking fighters and all of that type of stuff, I'm going to address you, man. So let's get to it, y'all. Leave the comments below. Let's talk about it. And I'll be back with another video. Sweet Science Athletics.